Welcome to a tale of unspeakable terror and ancient secrets. In this video, you'll dive into a chilling story about an ordinary encounter that spirals into extraordinary horror. Prepare yourself for a journey into the darkest corners of fear as I recount my own harrowing experience with a cursed artifact. Hold tight as we unravel the nightmare that began with a mysterious mask and led to a relentless terror beyond imagination. Brace yourself for the story of the patchwork creature. Story. I never imagined a simple visit to an old market would lead to the most terrifying experience of my life. It was one of those dusty, ancient markets where time seemed to stand still. The stalls were filled with relics from a forgotten era, and the air was thick with the scent of old wood and decay. As I wandered through the labyrinthine aisles, my eyes were drawn to a peculiar stall in a dimly lit corner. It was run by an elderly man whose eyes seemed to hold secrets. Among the various antiques and oddities, my gaze landed on a mask that seemed oddly out of place. It was a grotesque creation, stitched together from various animal hides and adorned with strange symbols. Despite its unsettling appearance, I felt an inexplicable urge to buy it. The old man's voice was a raspy whisper as he offered it to me. "It's a rare find," he said, "but be cautious. It has a power that can be both fascinating and perilous." Curiosity got the better of me, and I purchased the mask. Little did I know that this seemingly innocuous item would turn my world upside down. That night, I found myself unable to resist trying it on. As soon as the mask touched my face, a shiver ran down my spine. The world around me seemed to blur, and I felt an oppressive weight settle on my shoulders. In the darkness of my room, I began to hear faint whispers. At first, they were barely audible, but they grew louder, more insistent. Shadows danced around the room, and I could feel a cold presence closing in. The mask seemed to amplify my fear, feeding off my terror and conjuring dark, nightmarish figures that lurked in the periphery of my vision. Every night thereafter, I was haunted by these malevolent entities. They were no longer confined to the darkness of my room, but seemed to follow me wherever I went. My once ordinary life had become a never-ending nightmare, and the mask's power grew stronger with each passing day. The creatures that emerged from the shadows were relentless, their hunger for my fear insatiable. Desperation led me to seek answers. I researched the mask's origins, discovering disturbing tales of ancient rituals and dark magic. It became clear that the mask was not merely a cursed artifact, but a conduit for summoning and controlling malevolent beings. These creatures thrived on fear and were bound to the mask, feeding off the terror they induced. No matter where I went, the mask's influence was ever present. The boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred, and I was trapped in a ceaseless cycle of fear. The creatures grew bolder, their presence more tangible, and my attempts to rid myself of the mask only led to more horrifying encounters. In my search for a solution, I learned that the only way to break the curse was to confront the source of my fear directly. But facing the terror I had unwittingly unleashed was a harrowing ordeal. Each encounter with the creatures was a battle for my sanity and survival. The mask had transformed from a mere object into a living nightmare, a dark entity with its own malevolent will. To this day, I remain haunted by the experiences I endured. The mask still holds its place in my memories, a constant reminder of the darkness that can lie hidden in the most unsuspecting places. It serves as a chilling testament to the power of fear and the consequences of dabbling with forces beyond human comprehension. In my quest to rid myself of the cursed mask, I delved into a dark and complex world of ancient lore and magic. The mask, I discovered, was more than just a simple artifact of terror. It was a conduit between our world and other dark realms. It was clear that the mask carried a powerful curse, an ancient spell that opened a gateway between two worlds, allowing malevolent entities to seep into ours through its vile influence. Realizing the gravity of the situation, I knew I needed to either learn to control the mask or find a way to close the gateway it had opened. I began a desperate search for ancient rituals and rare books, consulting with various experts in the occult. Most were either too frightened to speak or unable to offer practical help. One day, I stumbled upon an old library filled with obscure and ancient texts. Among them was a book detailing how to deal with cursed objects. I found a chapter on rituals to banish evil spirits and cursed items. The process described was complex and dangerous, and it became evident that executing the ritual successfully would be a matter of life and death. The ritual required 3 key components: a black candle, a rare type of resin, and a potion of phoenix essentia, a substance said to be reborn from ashes. It took weeks of searching to gather these items, And with each step closer to the ritual, the threats grew more intense. The entities summoned by the mask began appearing more frequently and aggressively in my life, turning my daily existence into a harrowing ordeal. On one fateful night, as I prepared to begin the ritual, I felt an unnatural heaviness in the air. The mask seemed to pulsate with an eerie life of its own, and the whispers around me grew louder, as if celebrating the impending ritual. The atmosphere was thick with a malevolent energy, and I knew that succeeding in the ritual depended not only on precise execution but also on my mental and spiritual strength to confront the dark forces. I commenced the ritual, reciting ancient incantations and arranging the components as instructed. The black candle flickered with an otherworldly light, and the resin and potion added a layer of mystery to the proceedings. But midway through the ritual, I felt an unsettling shift. The candle extinguished, plunging the room into darkness. The cacophony of screams surged, and a cold draft swept through, intensifying the sense of dread. In that moment, I realized that something immense was emerging from the mask. It felt as though a battle was raging between the dark forces and the light I was trying to invoke. The experience was beyond description, as if every aspect of reality was contracting and expanding simultaneously. With immense effort, I continued the ritual to the best of my ability. With each incantation, the dark entity seemed to recede, and the darkness began to lift. Finally, the screams diminished, and the candle's light returned. When the ritual concluded, I was alone in my room, the mask lying silently on the floor, stripped of its dark power. The ordeal was not over. Nightmares persisted for several days, but gradually, I noticed that the mask no longer had the power to summon the dark entities. It was as if the gateway had been closed, and a temporary peace had settled over my life. Looking at the mask now, it seemed innocuous, yet it bore the marks of the struggle it had caused. There was a sense of relief, but also a lingering awareness that I would never forget this experience. It was a terrifying ordeal, but it served as a profound lesson about the dark forces that lie hidden in unexpected places. The story of the mask will always be a part of me, a chilling reminder of the consequences of meddling with powers beyond human understanding. When you put something like that on your face, you risk opening doors to realms you never wished to explore. Feel free to modify or expand the narrative as needed for your presentation.